Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Man, Big Problems podcast season two. We're opening this season with an episode I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I invited my friends Amanda and Alan from the TV show The Biggest Loser season eight. We're going to be discussing very frankly our experience on the show, as well as touching on the Netflix series Fit for TV, as well as our auditioning experience getting on the show. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Big Man, Big Problems podcast. This podcast was created for me to talk about the problems of being a big guy. That being said, that is not what this episode is about. It's kind of about that. The fact that I am a big guy has led me to that. But this is a very exciting episode. This is one I've been wanting to do for a long, long time. But I will tell you, it is the only time, the one time I'm going to do an episode about my experience on the hit TV show, The Biggest Loser. And you can see I'm not alone. I brought two people with me. Now, these two people I brought for very specific reasons because I absolutely adore them. They were on the same season I was. They think like me, they talk like me, but they sure as heck don't look like me. They are, and I'll have them introduce themselves. The gentleman to my to my left, who wants to go by his porn name today, Alan K.
Hello,
Okay.
everyone.
Yes. And I have the obviously beautiful, the obviously radiant Amanda, who's won't let me pronounce her last name because she hates my Midwestern Chicago accent when I do it. I'm going to give it a shot. It's Arlaskis.
Arlaskis,
That's what I said.
yes.
I feel like that's exactly what I said. What?
She
Well,
was
only
confirming it
16
for
years.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let you
It
keep
was a
practicing.
confirmation. She's just confirming it for you.
Yeah. So why am I doing this episode? I had one of my friends recently say to me, Julio, we know you're on the show. You mentioned you're on your show, but it's surprising how little you talk about what your experiences were on the show and how I felt. And it seems to be true really for all of us, right? Alan said the same thing to me privately. Amanda told me she remembers nothing about her experience on the show. True or false?
Pretty true.
Yeah.
That's
I think
Which
she
is-
said very little.
Yeah,
Remembers very little.
very little. She remembers there was a ranch and these two people that would show up and yell at us. That's what she remembers, right? But we're going to see if we can't jog her memory just a little bit. But the real reason I wanted to do this show is because I have seen many an interview from previous contestants. And quite frankly, I don't feel like a lot of those interviews were really, really honest or really spoke about what the contestant wanted to speak about. A lot of those were driven by the show themselves. So maybe they were a little afraid of what the producers or the show creators or the trainers would have thought of them. And a lot of them were driven by interviewers who had an agenda, wanted to speak of some controversy or wanted to talk about some argument somebody had with the trainers. And I don't think it ever got to the root of it. So this show is going to be honest. It's going to be raw. I can promise you that nobody you're seeing on camera right now has a filter.
No.
I promise you there's no filter. None of us feel like we are responsible or somehow need to be careful of the feelings of the trainers or of the producers. We love our fellow castmates, so there's no negativity when that comes. Anything that comes from them is going to be praise. All of them are going to wonder why they're not on this show, but who knows? Maybe one day they will be for other reasons. So let's get it started. Okay. And I guess the first question I want to put out there is, what did you think going on the show was going to give you? Like for example, we're going to get right after this into like the audition process, because that's a process that we all know very well, but the audience may not. But what did you think going on to the show it was going to give you?
Yeah. Ladies first.
I think for me, I was just looking for a change. I was so young. I was the girl in high school who never had a boyfriend and didn't go to prom. And I wanted to, honest to God, I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to feel like I belonged. And I hate to say that I needed to lose weight to feel that way. But at the time I felt like I did. And so I was just looking for what I thought might be a magic pill. And by all means, it was not a magic pill. It was a lot of hard work and all of that. But I was looking for like I just wanted to change who I was because I was so unhappy with who I was at the time. And, looking back at it, it seems silly because we should all love ourselves for different reasons and all of that. But no, that's honestly what I was looking for at the time.
Mm.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's so amazing.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell a little story that's going to embarrass you, but it's so amazing
Of course.
that you said you're going on the show because you didn't feel pretty or anything else. And I reminded her of this the other day, but when we were in the auditioning process, at one point we were all sequestered, and we can get into that, all sequestered at a hotel in California. And at one point, they brought a group of us to Beverly Hills to go to Dr. H's office so we could all get checked physically. And I saw Amanda sitting there. I didn't know her, but she was sitting quietly by herself because we weren't allowed to talk to each other. And I could see she felt a little like overwhelmed. And I walked over to her because I have daughters that not too far from her age. I walked over, I leaned over, and I said, "You should know that you're the prettiest girl here."
Mhm.
And she just
Yeah.
looked at me and gave me a slight smile, and, the rest is history. Here we are 17 years later, right? And I still
Yeah.
feel that way today. Look at you, radiant.
That
So
she is. That she is.
what were your thoughts?
Well, for me, what I saw, like so many people who I know were on the season with me had actually followed the show. I didn't follow the show. I watched maybe 1 or 2 seasons prior to. It was not my desire or my dream to be on the show. It was actually a coworkers of mine. But when I started watching the show, so it's like, wow, I can get on here, I can compete, and I can win some cool prizes, and lose some weight. That's what it was for me. I get to be on there and I get to compete and I get some cool prizes. And in the process, I'll lose a little weight and I'll, just as my story goes, I'll become, a better father, a better husband, a better firefighter as far as being fit. I could always do my job as a firefighter, but at 325 pounds, it's a little tougher. I could go maybe 20 minutes instead of going, 45 minutes like some of the younger guys. So, but that's what, I saw the show what it could give me. No.
This is what I think is so amazing, right? So here we are, 3 people, okay, who obviously care about each other. We know about each other's lives. We know what's going on. And when we showed up, we were 3 strangers. And the thing is, all of us came from 3 completely different directions,
Mhm.
okay? Amanda's telling a story how she was 19 years old and looking for just, I don't know, a change in her life to spark her in a better direction. You have Alan, who has lived a life getting there already, was married, already had a family, but, he was looking for more. It sounds like you're looking for more of an adventure
Yeah,
at the end of the
yeah.
day. That's what you
Looking for
looked at.
something to do. It would be fun.
And I'm somehow the idiot in the middle, right? And who I was is I was still, married with a family. But at the time this show happened, my life was an absolute shambles. I mean, I was my life in a lot of ways, family-wise, financially, was just shattering. And the last thing I wanted to do was leave my family and go on to do this TV show. But it popped up on the TV that they were having auditions. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Should I do this?" She goes, "We've been telling you for years, yes, go do it." Right. And I went and did it. And I showed up and I didn't know what I was looking for, what I wanted, what I was supposed to do. I didn't even feel like I should be there. So for me, what was I expecting? I don't have an answer to that. I'd love to give you a decent one. I'd love to give you some, but
Yeah.
I was looking for almost more like Amanda. I wasn't looking for an adventure, but I was looking for a way to put my stake in life and say, okay, whatever's holding me back, let's just move forward from it. Right. It was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like I was doing a dare. And I just,
Right.
yeah, which, okay. So let's talk a little bit about what it took to get there. I don't know that
The number
people,
one question people ask.
oh, what it took to get on the
Yeah.
show?
What it took. What did you do? What did you say?
Did you get on that, Amanda?
Yeah, I had a lot of questions
Oh,
on
Yeah.
that.
yeah. Well, here, they I mean, you guys were in, like, smaller areas when you did this. Chicago was a big hoopla to get on. But, in fact, you
Mhm.
came to
I
Chicago
came to
to
Chicago to
audition, yeah.
audition. Yeah.
Where did you audition?
New York City,
Yeah, so
it's a big one.
you left New Jersey because you were from New Jersey then, right? You didn't think I'd
Mhm.
remember that. And you
Yeah.
and you went to New York.
Yeah.
So I'll explain a little bit, or maybe you guys want to explain what the process was for you. And the reason I bring this up is because when you hear contestants, you see these crazy videos that people made, right? You know, naked on the street or making all kinds of dancing in all their lovely fatness,
I
TV or whatnot.
I did a crazy video.
You did?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Is that online?
No, it is
No.
not online. I did do a crazy video.
Because if I could find that and put that right in here in the video, I think that would be fantastic. So, what was your auditioning experience like, Amanda?
So for me, I had tried out actually for season 7, and then it was a couple season. So a friend of mine was actually a friend's mom, and I had gone into New York City and we did the audition process, waited for hours on a long line just with a
Mhm.
bunch of other people who wanted the same thing I did. Made it through the first round of auditions, which is really cool. And very quickly, I got a call immediately back. But what they told me was I wasn't the couple situation that we were in was just not the right fit for the current season, and they kind of wished us well and all of that. And then the next season rolled out, and the casting director actually called me and he said, "Hey, Amanda, this is a single season, no more partners. We really feel like you have a good story and we'd like you to interview again." And so that was really cool because it was like he remembered me and all of that. So
How quickly did they
I went,
call you back? Was it that night, the next morning?
oh god, I don't remember,
Mhm,
to be honest. I don't remember, but I had kinda stayed in touch with the casting director
mhm,
just a little bit as we really kind of bonded well originally for season 7, but it just wasn't the right fit.
mhm.
Mhm.
But then whenever a couple months later when season 8 started casting is when he called me back and he was like, "Please, please, please give it another shot. Can we do an on-camera interview in New York again?" And I said, "Sure." And so we did that. I went to New York. I was able to skip the whole line, went right to the on-camera interviews, and the rest is kinda history.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. What was yours like?
Mine was then that did the crazy video. My friend Mike and I, we did this crazy video. Firefighters were in our turnout gear and no shirts, and had our suspenders and stuff on, doing a little dance to Fire by the Ohio Players. And
I'm gonna
they
find
said that
that
was nice.
video. I swear to God, I'm gonna find that
You won't
video.
find it anywhere. Only I have it. But it is a good video. So we were in rhythm and everything. So we were kicking it. But sent that in, and then we got a call. We really didn't hear anything. And we got a call and say, "Hey, we want you guys to come up to Chicago." Went up to Chicago, kind of like Amanda. We had a VIP pass, got to jump the line, went on in, sat down at a table with about 10 other people. They threw out a question. We all kind of talked. And they said, "Thank you for coming." 45 minutes later, I get a phone call on the ride home with my wife, and it's just like, "Hey, Alan, we loved you. We want you to come in and do, a second interview." And like Amanda, it's, history from there. So,
So, mine was a little different. So, now, ironically, I had no video that I sent in. They didn't know me from Adam.
okay.
I actually just went online like everybody else. Here, I'll make the story shorter than it is, but they said, "Okay, show up NBC Towers on this day. Nobody can start lining up till 7 in the morning. We're not going to see more than 600 people." That was it, something to that effect.
There were more than that in the line.
Well, so I showed up at 7 o'clock and the line was around the block, and it was snowing and it was cold. It was terrible.
Yes.
And I stood there in line with my wife. They said, "Bring a picture of you before, if you like when you were younger, or a picture if you had when you were thinner, and bring a current picture." So I found an old picture I had of myself when I think I was 18 years old, which is like the last time I was thin. And I took a Polaroid.
A Polaroid of your current.
A Polaroid of my current, yes,
Wow.
and I stood in line, and everybody had these packets they filled out. I'm like, "What the hell is that?" "Oh, you're supposed to fill out an application." I'm like, "Really?" So some guy walked through line and is like, "Oh, we have some one-page application, somebody didn't fill it out." So I literally filled it out on my wife's back. It was wet from snow. This is all I had, an old picture, a Polaroid, and a wet one-page application. People had portfolios.
Yeah.
It was insane. Stood in line for it had to be at least 2 hours. I saw you.
I stood out, right?
I saw you because you were wearing your full dress firefighter's outfit when you went there. I saw you and your buddy walking, and I'm thinking, "Who's this idiot?" You know? Like, I'm like, "He must be here for something else because no way they're gonna pick that guy," you
Mhm.
know? Anyway, so I got in line. They bring you on a table. Amanda, you probably did this too. They put you, like, on a semicircle table
Table.
with about 10 or 12 people.
Yep.
They go around. I had Brandon. That might have been who you talked to. And they say, okay, give me your name, your age, your weight, or your name, your age, your occupation, your weight. And everyone does that. Then they throw out a topic and they say, speak amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
So they did that, I don't know, 10 minutes, right? 15 minutes. And I must have made an impression because
Imagine that.
I must have made an impression. I don't know how, but he said, okay, here, this is all we're doing today. If we like you, we'll call you back. Obviously, we can't, you know, talk to everybody today. So if we want to talk to you again, we'll give you a call for a different interview, but don't give up because it's hard to get noticed among some of the stronger personalities. And a lady on the other side of the table leans forward and goes, yeah, Julio. And I was like, oh,
A Star is Born.
I feel like I was noticed. So
Yeah.
I got home. We went back. My mother-in-law lived in the city at the time, and we went back to her place. And as soon as I got there, before I even took my coat off, I had a phone call. And they said, this is so and so from The Biggest Loser. How are you? And I think I said, I have just thought out enough to be able to pee. And she invited me back for another interview. And again, the rest is history. But the audition process doesn't end there. Okay. So basically, all three of us, our first time auditioning, were basically picked. Amanda, you went on a different season because that season didn't fit you, but they literally put you in a pile and said, the next season we call her.
Yeah, because she's
Right.
going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And she was.
Yeah. Alan and I got picked for the same season, which makes us tremendously more special, don't you think? Like, I feel like they would have found her a partner.
Well,
if-
yeah, and hoping I'm sure that they were hoping it would be one of us, but
But I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad you were on our season.
most definitely.
So then you go through another process that involves they want you to make some stuff and send some stuff, and then they do like checks and things like that. And then they narrow it down to, I think, what was it, about 50 people? They narrow it down to that and they sequester us all in a hotel in California. This was about 2 weeks before the show aired.
Were there like 50 people? Because I was in my room. I never saw anyone.
I thought it was like 30, but still, yeah.
I remember asking if I can come out of my room because I know there went a day and a half and I did not leave that room. And I'm
Okay.
like, can I
Uh-huh.
get out just to get some sunshine or
That
something?
makes sense of why they were so mad at me because I probably called them twice a day. Like, I want to go to like Universal here and hang out if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
I had one of the guys come and watch the Bulls were in the playoffs. I had one of the guys come and watch the Bulls games with me. Look, I'm needy. Okay, that's just who I am. I'm sorry.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, God bless my wife, man. I don't know how she does it.
Exactly.
And then that
And-
process is a little. Do you remember that process, Amanda?
I do.
We-
I remember just being nervous and shy though, so I feel like I was quiet. I didn't bother them at all. I just kind of sat in my room and waited to be called for the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, what stands out to me for that, when we were sequestered, Julio talked earlier about how we had to go to Hazingas's office. I can remember my biggest impression from seeing, because there was a time when we were with everyone, it's probably about, 15, 20 people, maybe, somewhere in there. And I remember looking around and I went back and I told my wife, I've never seen so many good looking, large people, fat people, big people, however you want to label us, in my life. I mean, everyone was handsome and good looking and big. And I can remember thinking, I'm not big enough to be on this show. And I know I'm not good looking enough.
All right, Amanda, we're not going to go there with Alan because we know he's got a soft spot. We're not going to say anything negative, but Alan's got a soft spot. That made him mad. I'm glad you said it. I called us fat, pretty people. That's the way I always refer to us. We're
Yeah.
fat, pretty people.
Fat, pretty
you
people.
know. That's how I knew when I went to the hotel for that other interview. That's how I knew who was there for that. Because if you were heavy and attractive and carrying some photos, I think I know why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that process was interesting because they did physical tests. They checked us in with the psychologist. We took intelligence tests. We did group interviews, which were crazy, right? The lengths that people were willing to go through
To get on that show.
to get on this show were not only excessive, but in my opinion, slightly exploited. I think that the show and its producers really use the fact that these people were willing to do anything. In fact, Amanda, you might be aware or not aware, but there was a contestant on our season and a contestant on the next season. The reason one got picked over the other is they made them race up the stairs of the hotel.
I remember hearing that story. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, it's crazy because it was desperation
Mhm.
by so many of us to be on that show, and it was like even those of us that made it, wonderful, but the people that didn't make it, like, there was such desperation from so many people looking for a
But
chance at
why?
this.
What were we looking
Mhm.
for? What do we think this would do? It had to be more than just weight loss, right?
I think for some
Yeah.
people, it probably was more than weight loss. I think some people they were motivated by other things. I know that just talking with some of the alumni, some people were motivated by fame. They thought they were going to be famous. Some people were truly motivated for what their story truly was. We had a young lady in our season who, she wanted to her and her husband wanted to have more children. She was truly motivated to lose weight so they would be able to do that. And others from our season too, but everyone had different motivations. Mine definitely was different than a lot of other people's, and my desire and stuff to be on the show was different than a lot of people's.
I just sighed audibly into the microphone.
That's
Did
an
this
edit.
on purpose.
Edit that, please.
And in case you're wondering, Amanda, this is actually bourbon. Both Alan and I are brothers in the world of bourbon.
Mhm.
He actually is the one that hooked me up with it. I remember the first glass he gave me was free, and he said if I wanted any more.
Yeah, he's gonna have to buy it.
Comes at a price.
And they exploited that fact, and there was even a guy in one of my interviews that was convinced that there was a camera and microphone in his room.
Oh, at the hotel?
Yeah, so he sat there and lit for 4 hours, looked
Wow.
at a picture of himself when he was thin so that they could see how much he wanted to be that person again, and I was like, "Holy cow, there's no way they're picking you,"
Wow.
you know?
Well,
Yeah,
I sure hope there weren't cameras in there.
no, that would be no, I think there was some illegal activity for sure,
Exactly.
yeah,
They would have been surprised in mine.
yeah, they would have seen Amanda on her phone just crying to herself apparently because she's all quiet, but look at you now. Okay,
Mhm.
so and then, ultimately, here's my feeling. Can I just share my feeling with you?
Please, it's your
They
show.
they
Sure.
already picked us.
I believe you.
Like, I
Yeah.
think before they even picked the top 50, 12 of us were already on the show.
Mhm.
Did any of you have one of the one of the casting people visit you in your room separately?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes? Yeah, so did I.
Yes.
And I think we were already selected. I think they were looking for a couple more in certain spots, and those are the people I think they put through a little bit more of what I would consider a bit of a humiliating way to go, you know? I'm not gonna say who he is, but he's gonna hear this, he's gonna know exactly who he is.
Who he is.
Yeah, because there wasn't that many people that did it, you know? And then ultimately, they told us, "Hey, prepare for a phone call tomorrow. Here, film it on camera," whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Who got a call from who? I got Jillian called me.
Bob Harper called me.
And it was different for me because see, I don't remember which one of them called me now. I think it was I don't remember. I can't remember.
Jesus.
But one
Yeah.
of them called me and I had a different situation though, as they told me they couldn't choose between me
Oh my
and another
god,
girl
Oh,
who
that's
that's
right.
right. You were America's
Yeah.
Oh,
choice.
what are we talking
Tell us
about
to
here?
tell everyone
well, I
the
had a
story.
good
Unless they
experience.
don't know about you. You
Oh,
were American. Tell them. I'll stop.
oh my
Tell them, Amanda.
all right, we're idiots, continue.
Yeah. Go.
Okay, so yeah, because 'cause they're sitting here talking like they were chosen, and I was like, "Maybe I was chosen, but maybe I wasn't," because I got a call, and I really genuinely don't remember who called me, but I got a call that said, "Amanda, we have narrowed it down. We have almost every contestant's spot filled, but there's one spot left, but we can't choose between you and one other girl." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, that sucks," right? Like, I'm so close. And so they said at the time, season 7's finale was about to air, and they said, "We wanna put you on live TV, and we want you to work out with the trainers backstage and let America vote." And I remember looking at my mom because we were at this point, my mom had flew out to California. I don't remember ho what the situation was, but my mom was there at some point, and I said, "Oh my gosh, like, mom, I'm gonna" "What?" I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be so embarrassing if I go and work out on national TV and let my whole world know that I'm doing this and I don't make it." Because I felt like I was being so vulnerable.
That's the hardest part, right?
Yeah,
Here, and I'm sitting here talking
Oh,
about a guy privately running up a flight of stairs and him choosing to tell me that story.
and you had to go on national TV.
You had to play schoolyard pick'em.
I mean, on live TV, and
Oh,
Yeah,
I will never forget after that workout, I have no idea, America's voting for us, and I remember finishing that workout, and I looked at my mom, and I felt so sick, obviously, I was completely out of shape, didn't work out at all, and I felt horrible, and I said, "What did I just sign up for?" Like, I was freaking out because that was so awful.
yeah.
But it changed my life, and America voted, and they said that I got it, so that was really a really cool but different experience.
Yeah, so that person you're with, that was Aaron, right?
Aaron.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I
Yeah,
can
and
tell
she's
you that
amazing.
I saw you when we were there. I saw Aaron in the airport leaving. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure who was who. Like, that's how
Oh,
alike
yeah.
you guys were,
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
we had
like the
very
same
similar
height.
looks, similar stories.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah,
and she's incredible. She's gone on to do amazing things, at least from what I can tell, and she looks incredible. I'm pretty sure she's
yeah.
getting ready to get married. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, she's the only one that was saved by not going.
Yeah, and she is part of if a lot of people don't realize it, Erin was part of season 8.
Yeah,
She was that quiet one, but I mean, she was included on things, that the public didn't see, that the camera didn't see, and Aaron and I are friends. I mean, we talk to each other on Instagram and stuff. And, just like you, Amanda, you keep up with her and stuff. And just like we do with those of our season. And then also all the other alumni. Well, not all of the ones that I choose to talk to. So yeah. But
okay, so now
yeah.
for the question that everybody listening wants to know. When America had a vote, Alan, who'd you vote for?
I
Oh
did not
gosh.
vote because I was not watching. I did not know until at the end,
Yeah, I
you
was
know.
I was watching the finale of American Idol, I think, at that time, because Adam Lambert was on, and I was really pulling for him. Okay, so that was getting on the show, and then okay, I mean, I don't know if I wanna get into what happened day 1, so let's hit point number 2, okay?
All right.
So Netflix released just in the last, several months, they released a three-part series
Mhm.
on The Biggest Loser called Fit for TV, okay?
Yeah.
We all watched it.
Yes. Took a
Okay.
while, but yeah, I got around to it.
Yeah. Okay. Who thought it was all bullshit? Raise your hand. Nobody.
I
Now,
Nobody.
don't
now,
think
No.
call it
when
bullshit. I
you say bullshit, you mean like it was full of lies? I don't know, but I can say this about that Netflix series. Everyone's experience was different.
100%.
Every
Yeah.
single person, every single alumni of the BL had a different experience. And that's all I can say. I mean, what those people who were on that special talked about, that was their experience. And, who are any of us to say anything different or to say,
Yeah.
that's not true, that's not a lie. That's their experience. If I was on there,
That's a
my experience would have been
deal.
different. So,
Yeah, and I feel like, you know what? Everyone's entitled to their own truth, and
mhm,
what your truth is could be different than what my truth is, and that doesn't make either one of us right or wrong. It doesn't mean necessarily, like, I agreed with some of the things that were said, but that's okay because we're able to have our own opinions, and for me, I am really grateful, though, that I genuinely believe my experience was different than what others, experienced, and I'm grateful for that. I don't think it was bullshit, for instance, like what you just said. I really think for me, it was
yeah.
they had their truths, their experiences, and I had mine, and I am just so grateful, though, that I didn't have a negative experience, and I would do it all over in a heartbeat. I think my experience was fantastic from what I can remember.
All right. So I appreciate your guys' opinions about this Netflix thing, but let me tell you what my issue is, right? When I watch stuff like this, what bothers me is that it's being done based on what the documentary wants to talk about, right? So nobody ever really talks to the contestants like, tell me your experience, right? Like tell me how you felt in this moment, right? It's really they want to talk about a controversy, right? They want to talk about an argument that somebody had with one of the trainers. They want to talk to another person about the issues they had with what I thought was a very overblown thing about caffeine pills,
Yeah.
right? They want to talk to somebody else about, oh, you gained weight. Well, how does that feel? You know, the thing is, a lot of us gained weight. A lot of us
Yeah.
have been fighting with our weight issues since the day we left that show. Okay. And it really was tough for me to watch because all I want to do is stand up and say, somebody just push the reporter aside and just say, "Look, here's what I want to talk about." Because I don't think there's enough of that. And I don't think that people talk about it because everyone watches this show. And I think a large part of the audience, the ones that came out for the autograph signings, the ones that came out to
Mhm.
hear us speak publicly, that core group of people really saw an inspiration,
Yes.
right? Because here's a reality show that I think was based on a premise of come watch these people take control of their lives,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
I think a lot of people appreciate that, were inspired by that. But there was an equal, maybe much larger group of people that wanted to watch a bunch of fat people get yelled at and fall down on treadmills,
And fail.
right? And
Yeah.
fail. And I think there was a lot of that. And there was a
Yeah.
large group of people that loved to see the reveal, right? Which is why I think the show showed a reveal at the end of every segment because people needed to see that it was making progress.
Mhm.
But you're kidding yourselves. And we were all sitting in interviews during the show. We all got pulled out for interviews, and all of us were led by story producers saying, well, when this happened to you, didn't you feel this way?
Yeah.
Don't you really want to say this, Alan? Amanda, when someone said this to you, didn't you really want to do this? We all have those
Right.
experiences.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you a story that's true. I sat down once because they tried to create drama between me and one of the other contestants, and I wasn't going to have it. And I
Mhm.
told them about an experience, and they said, "Well, Julio, don't you want to say this, and this?" And I said, "Well, here, I got a better idea. Why don't you write down what you want me to say, right? Let's call it a script and then give it to me. I'll go away for a few minutes. I'll do my best to memorize, and then we'll come back and we'll shoot it. How do you feel about that?" And he looks at me and pauses and says, "Well, what do you want to say?"
Exactly, and that's how it should be.
1,000%.
Because if it's scripted, then it's not a reality TV show.
But there are those people who would do anything to be on the show. And
Yeah.
those people were unfortunately drug around by their nose a little bit and told what they wanted to say and what they wanted to feel. And then all of a sudden we come off the show and we all get together and we all don't feel that way,
Yeah.
right? We all actually felt real brotherhood of what we went through. We're like, I like to call us like war buddies, not to diminish being a war buddy, but I feel like that's what we went through. We all went through an experience that affected us at an emotional level, at a physical level, at a psychological level, and we experienced that together,
Yeah.
right? I still remember, Amanda, you looking at me one day and going, wow, I see it on you. Like, you don't remember that, but I remember that. And that actually meant quite a bit to me. You wouldn't remember that. You remember the time there was a mouse in the kitchen and I was to a
Yeah.
sissy to go get it.
Did it.
I remember
And I
that.
remember the time
Everybody remembers that.
and I remember the time you asked me to fry you a couple of eggs because you didn't know how to do that. Okay. So we could all
That's you.
do you remember what you said to me? I'm a
I
grown
don't
ass
remember what I
woman. I can
said.
make some bomb eggs if I had to. Like
But since you're
I
gonna,
do remember
Julio, since you're
that.
gonna do it for me, go right ahead.
Like, I remember those things. So when I see something like a Netflix series, I'm like, you know what? I want to get together with the people that I know that I shared the experience with, right? Now,
Exactly.
they hit on something else in the Netflix that was only a select few of us. And I feel like they grazed over this. And I became even more upset about this when our show doctor, Dr. Huizinga,
Yeah, Dr. H.
went on television and actually disputed the study that I think he started. Maybe I'm wrong. In part two of this episode, we're going to finish our discussion on the NIH and the study and how we all feel about it. We're also going to get into the trainers and who we like better. And I share some personal experiences I had with the trainers. And it's the first time I've shared this publicly. So it was a big deal to me. So I hope you enjoyed listening. Please look out for episode 2. Should be dropping on the 12th of February. And as always, please subscribe, please comment so that I can address the issues you want to address. And let me know how you felt about this episode. Thanks again for listening.